building an integrated personality development of individual as a highly harmonious performer, as a highly balanced manager. They are the prerequisites for any organization or a society or a country. Here, the boundaries must be open. We must give a stimulation for exchange of ideas between various groups, various schools of thought, various ideologies, so that an integrated idea, an integrated ideology, an integrated thinking process will enter into the minds of the normal human beings, at the same time specifically to the managers who have to solve the problems day in and day out, and they have to be the managers with enlightenment. Normally, we know only part of our being, the surface mentality. We are sometimes completely overcome by emotions, instinctive and involuntary reactions that upset the role of conscious reason. Under stress of strong emotions, we say or do things which we regret afterwards. This is not a good thing for a country or a society. Unless the individual has complete self awareness, he cannot become a master of his life. By developing purity of intentions, man marches to success. If man has to achieve his objective, he has to be clear about the scope of the objectives and how the objective could be achieved. Sometimes he will meet situations where there will be a conscious attempt to divert him from achieving his objective. The essential functions of management are planning, controlling, and supervision. These actions, inexorable professionalization of management, has been going on in the present day society. For the transformation of the manager from a mere manager to an able manager and an enlightened manager, it requires highly qualified executive professionalism, a training which is essential to the organization. The managers remain slightly reticent and ill at ease with their status. They feel a need to explain themselves in a way in which lawyers and doctors do not, because their role as a manager is totally different. To create a clear set of guidelines are the skills and knowledge required to become a manager. So here we are clear that a manager, an able manager, an integrated manager requires several different skills and capabilities. In practice, if we examine critically in the Indian context, many questions remain unanswered in this connection. For example, the managers know, will they know, their companies have become learning organizations. What concrete changes in behaviors are required to their organization? What policies and programs must be in a place? How do you get from here to there? This, of course, needs a lot of introspection among the enterprise top to bottom line managers, and specifically HR and learning and development wing. For effective implementation, three important packages are suggested. First is the question of meaning. Second is the question of management. Third is the question of measurement. I repeat, the question of meaning, the question of management, and question of measurement. These three are pivotal factors on which the planning of integrated personality development and managers development revolve. Learning organizations are skilled at five main activities: systematic problem solving, experimentation with new approaches, learning from their own experience and past history, learning from the experience and best practices of others, and transferring knowledge quickly and effectively throughout the organization. This is what the spreading process of knowledge for the entire organization irrespective of the cadre and irrespective of the elements of hierarchy. This must be the motives of the HR and learning and organizations. By creating systems and processes that support these activities and integrating them into the fabric of daily operations, companies can manage their learning more effectively. Another powerful lever is to open up boundaries and stimulate the exchange of ideas. Boundaries inhibit with few information. It will inhibit the flow of information between the various segments of the people available in an organization. Keep individuals and groups isolated is not correct. Must reinforce preconceptions, opening the boundaries with conferences, meetings, and project teams which either cross organizational levels or link the company and its customers and suppliers. The fresh flow of ideas and the chance to consider competing perspective. I repeat the word, chance to consider competing perspective. Together, these efforts help the climatical barriers can be removed. Otherwise, they will impede the learning process. Moving of learning higher on the organizational agenda must be there. It is suggested that subtle shift in focus away from continuous improvement towards commitment to learning, because learning is a constant process. Learning is a driving force which is required to a modern organization in the most competitive world. Smart companies inspire employee loyalty in a vast number of ways, ranging from the tangible and intangible, involving employees in crucial activities, critical activities such as decision making. Company can succeed in instilling a sense of excitement and importance to their work. It elevates the self-confidence and that status conscious manager that he is elevated because to a higher level skill. That is why he is consulted. That is why management is making him to participate in the decision making process. That feeling gives a lot of that instills a lot of confidence and courage in the minds of the manager to develop himself to a further level of a manager. To recognize the job of a manager is to remove roadblocks, irritants, and frustrations. These may seem basic, but they are often difficult to spot and change. Communicating effectively, like everything else we want to do well, does not happen overnight. It is a lifelong process. It is a lifelong journey between several things. Virtues require us to keep returning to the basics of refocusing our energies and sustaining the positive. Falling short of these pointers does not necessarily exile us from the paradise of great communicators. It challenges us to bring more substance beneath our communication styles. With these, we work, love, and live with faith and mutual respect for others. We may, in the end, create endless opportunities for heavenly discourse, that is, exchange of ideas, exchange of views, exchange of conceptions. At times, they may be diametrically opposite, but the normal knowledge process tells a thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. Somewhere, the discussion will get an integrated point and an approach which is most useful to the organization in order to elevating the managerial capability. Counseling also help the organization to be more human and considerate with the people's problems. Counseling or mentoring may be performed by both professionals and non-professionals. Mentoring is usually confidential so that employees feel free to talk openly about their problems. It also involves the job personal problems, since both types of problems may affect the employee's performance on the job. This objective is consistent with the supportive and the HR models of organizational behavior. Here, in all my talks, I emphasize the role of onlookers. are old employees, enlightened people, even though they reached the stage of retirement. Several organizations retain them as keen observers so that they will find out what is exactly happening from the point of view of psychology, from the point of view of changing trends in the organizational methodology. Reassuring by mentoring provides employees with that the crux of the reassurance, which is a way of giving them courage to face problem or a feeling of confidence, and they are pursuing suitable course of action. Release emotional tension, that is helping a person to feel more free of tensions, and it is an important function of nearly all counseling. In any case, the result of any clarified thinking should be to encourage a person to accept responsibility for emotional problems and to be more realistic in solving them. Directive monitoring counseling mostly accomplishes the counseling function of advice. But many, it may also resume to communicate, give emotional release. This word is very specifically important in the organization. That emotional release, to a minor extent, clarify thinking. Almost all problems brought to a manager have a combination of factual and emotional content. I repeat this sentence, a beautiful sentence, is a combination of factual and emotional content, so that the manager should not spend all day looking for emotional content when a rational answer will solve the problem through various methods which we have discussed, through counseling, mentoring, instilling the confidence, opening up the boundaries, and instigating them or stimulating the brains of the people to exchange ideas freely. At times, maybe quite opposite ideas, but go on discussing with the relevance to the organization and relevance to the today's up to date market trends and managerial competencies. And definitely an integrated idea will flourish in an organization, and it will make the organization to reach the commanding heights. Thank you very much.